Hello, welcome to the Female Finance Collective. Sybil and I are excited to be here today. Just a quick little tidbit before we jump in. We are mixing up our format a little bit. So, some episodes, it might just be one of us, you might get two of us, or you might get all three of us. And hopefully, this allows us to provide you some different types of content and different perspectives and guests, conversations, chats, other people's stories, and we're looking forward to it. So if you have any suggestions, we would love to hear them. Don't hesitate to share them with us.
Welcome to the Female Finance Collective podcast, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money.
I'm Jen, and I struggled for many years with debt and feeling financially overwhelmed, so I know how frustrating it can be. Now I'm passionate about helping women confidently take control of their personal finances.
And I'm Mary Lee. As a financial planner, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of women who've transformed their financial lives. I'm excited to share my insights to help you on your financial journey.
Hey, I'm Sybil. I built my dream life traveling the world and creating financial freedom on a teacher's salary. Now I help women take charge of their money and burn brighter in life.
Let's start the money conversation. In today's episode, we are going to start, we're going to do a few quick win Wednesdays, but in a little mini series. We're going to talk about what that paycheck to paycheck life, right? And what I want to really start by saying on all of our behalfs is we have no judgment. This is a Female Finance Collective is a no shame zone. And if you like living paycheck to paycheck, if that system that you've got going on is working for you and you don't want to change it, that is okay, right? If it is working for you, it is okay. And you don't need to feel forced or pressured from us to say like you need to make a change. But if that life is feeling stressful, if it's overwhelming, like it was for me when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I was stressed all the time about every penny because I was running out of money. Oftentimes, I got paid once a month and I was running out of money before my paycheck was arriving. I was like, how do I make this $5 last me 3 more days? And I was also trying to pay off debt while living paycheck to pay. Like the whole thing was just a circle of stress for me. So what Sybil and I are going to talk about today is one of the strategies that you can tackle if you want to kind of reduce the paycheck to paycheck life.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to create more space in your budget and don't feel like you're always like spending every single penny every month and worried about it, right?
Right, because I think that for some people, that's just they've lived it so long that it's like the comfort zone, right? They just know, okay, well, I'm going to run out of money at the end of the month and I'm going to roll to the next month and this is how I do it. But for a lot of us, that just isn't comfortable. And we would like to free up that budget space so that we aren't feeling that like pressure or stress at the end of the month. We're not really playing, what are they? In crochet, or I think also knitting, they call it yarn chicken. It's when you like try to finish your project without your yarn running out, like you're kind of playing chicken with the end of your yarn, right? So I felt like when I was living paycheck to paycheck, it was like the yarn chicken version of money, right? Like I was trying to get to the end of the month without running out of money. And sometimes I pulled it off and other times I did not.
Right. It's what do they say? It's easy to do. There's simple things that we're going to share with you, but it's hard to actually do it because you have to make the decision and then you have to stick with it, right? So like it's one thing to say I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck, but it's another thing to start taking simple actions to change that, right? And I also just want to mention before we give some specific strategies, one thing is like our money lives are not linear, at least mine's not.
Right.
So like we have been in a situation where we were making enough money to save a lot of money for our future. And we've really built up, once we're 65, but we're again in a situation where we're living more paycheck to paycheck because our expenses just went up so much. So my daughter's in college this year. So because our expenses grew so much, I feel the tightness and the, this is hard month in, month out again. That doesn't mean that my future is sacrificed because we've put away that money, thankfully, right? But right now we're really in more of that. Oh my gosh, the college payment comes out on the 5th of each month, right? Our expenses grew kind of so much suddenly. So also know that this might not be the season of your life, but if you're stuck in paycheck to paycheck your whole life and you're not able to grow that future account too, that's something to really consider and have that hard conversation with yourself, as you like to say, Jen, like, I need to start taking actions to change this. Just complaining about it is not going to change anything.
Exactly. I did that for a long time. I complained about money and I told myself I wasn't good at money and that I wasn't smart about money and all of those things. Well, none of that made anything better,
Right.
right? None of that self-talk, none of those like messages I told myself, none of that complaining improved anything, right? But I had to get to a point where I was uncomfortable enough to make the sacrifice. And you may be listening and thinking like, it's good enough, right? I'm getting by, and that's okay. But if you get to the point where you're like, I hate living paycheck to paycheck, I want to make some changes. I'm willing to make some sacrifices. I'm willing to have those hard conversations and make those hard decisions because I don't like how this feels anymore. That's where we're coming in for you today. So what we want to talk about is in this episode, and again, we're going to do a couple more kind of in the same realm, but sometimes what you have to do to end this paycheck to paycheck cycle is make more money. I mean,
Yep.
it's just that simple. And you may instantly get like a little bit defensive because that's what I did. I was like, make more money. I'm already working so hard. I'm already working so many hours. Like, what do you expect from me? That's instantly my first reaction, right? And then I could take a step back and be like, you know what? There are ways you could make more money without sacrificing like your commitment to your current job or your social life or those types of things. Sybil and I both, we met teaching. We've talked about this before. We both taught elementary school and I really needed a second job. So I started teaching nighttime classes at the University of Phoenix. I taught graduate and undergraduate classes in education. And those were like a few months of a commitment, one night a week, plus the time it took to, do the grading and the reading of papers and planning and that type of thing. And Sybil also did the same thing. And
Mhm.
so, yes, it was a second job. Yes, it was a second income, but it didn't mean that I left one job every day and then went to a new job. So, what we want to share with you today are just a bunch of kind of ways that you can make more money without just going and getting a full second job, right? Because I think sometimes we really get wrapped up in the fact that we don't have time or we can't do it. But there are some small ways that you can increase your monthly income without like this humongous time sacrifice.
Exactly. So let's just like go back and forth. So you just shared the idea of teaching a nighttime course one night a week. It was perfect for me, 6 to 10 p.m. My kids were teeny babies. They were in bed, right? So it was a sacrifice, yes, but it was a great way to make a little extra money. And right now we are in the side gig economy. This is like there's so much opportunity. So I'm like I just said in that state of I need to make more money right now to pay for college. And so just last night I applied for a tutoring job. The minimum number of hours a week is 5. I was like, "Oh, that sounds perfect. If I could tutor some students 5 hours a week, that's going to give me a nice little extra amount of money each month." So that's one idea. Jen, another idea.
If you already have kids, or if you don't have kids but you love kids, adding some childcare is a great way to do it. I know that there are some moms who stay home with their kiddos or even dads who stay home with their kiddos and to like watch I know people who like had another family drop their kiddo off like 2 or 3 days a week and they watched them. They made money. They were already watching their own kiddo. So they just added another one into the mix and it was a way for them to earn a little bit of extra money. I also know that people babysit, right? People are always looking for childcare on the weekends, Friday nights and Saturday nights. So maybe if you just kind of put it out there and you're like, hey, I like kids. I'm happy to hang out with your kiddo Friday night or Saturday night. That's a really nice way to make a little bit of extra money. You don't make $2 or $3 an hour babysitting like you used to when I was a kid, right? When I was babysitting. So this is a really nice way without a huge time commitment to add some money.
Yeah, another one is pet sitting, right? Maybe you don't want to do the kid thing, but you can do pet sitting, right? You can stay at their place, they can bring the pet to you. You can be super picky about these jobs too, right? You can say, I only take small dogs, I only can take cats. You know, so pet sitting using apps like Rover to find possibilities to make some more money with pets.
Amazing. Also, there are all kinds of restaurants and retail shops who desperately need help. And if you can find a place that you would enjoy working for maybe one shift a week, that's not a crazy time commitment. So maybe like one night a week, you do a dinner shift at a restaurant, or one weekend day, you do, or one weekend day, or even like 2 evenings, you do a shift at a retail store. That's just a way to make a little extra money. It's not a crazy time commitment. Plus, you'll get to meet some more people, which I always think is fun. Like if you think of it as a way, like a little bit of social time, I think that that's a little bonus that you can incorporate.
Absolutely. Another way is to actually spend less money, right? Make your dollars go further. So, one way I've done that recently is doing my own house cleaning, right? Another way to spend less money is use our 24-hour rule that we just shared in a prior podcast. Put things in your cart and don't buy them for at least 24 hours. It's a great way to spend less money. Another way to spend less money is to cut back on the extras. You might cut back on a streaming service for a month or two. The great thing is you can always join them again in the future, right? So think about ways that you can spend less money. It's another way that ultimately that every dollar you make ends up being more.
What about a skill or a passion? Are you excellent at painting? Could you offer your services to your neighbors? Like, hey, oh, you need a room painted? I can come and do that for you. Oh, you need your, yard mowed? I can mow your yard. There's all kinds of little skills or passions that you could do. If you really love sewing, you can just market yourself on like next door, your neighborhood app or community, and just say like, hey, I can do some basic sewing, I can do basic alterations. If you need pants shortened or things like that, you can bring on some of these little side gigs just with things that you are already really good at or passionate about and enjoy doing anyway, and get paid for them.
So you could also be an Uber driver. You could do DoorDash, right? You could pick up scooters, those electric scooters that are on the sides of the streets, especially like big cities or college towns. You can pick those up each night, charge them at your house, and drop them back off. So these are things that you can do on your own time. You can turn on the app. I'm on work right now. Or nope, I don't have time this week. I can't add anything, or I need to do it on Saturday. Totally flexible possibilities of making more money with those kinds of apps as well.
All right, two more quick ones. I was recently looking something up for a client that I work with, and she wanted a laundry service. And I learned that there were two main companies that I found. I'm sure there are more where they pay you to do people's laundry. So you bring the laundry to your house, they put it out, you pick it up, you bring it to your house, you wash, dry, and fold, and then you drop it back off to them. And I was like, well, that's handy. Like, especially if you're someone who works from home, you can like do the laundry throughout the day while you're working and then have it ready at the end of the night or the next morning. So I thought that was a great way to make a little bit of extra income without a crazy time commitment.
Yeah, I love that. You could also be a Fay advisor. So this is another side gig that I found through you, Jen, the University of Phoenix, but also Fay. So Fay advisors help families with all the tasks that they need to do. So it's the side gig that's paid in a retainer, and you help make doctor's appointments, travel plans to Europe. What else do we do for Fay?
Manage calendars, sign kids up for camp, all, just really any of those things that show up on your to-do list that you just need, they like take up so much of your time and that you can just pass them off to us as Fay advisors. That's what we do for people. Really, sky's the limit. If it's something we could do for you remotely, we're doing it, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Every single tip or strategy that we just shared with you, all of those companies, apps, they're looking for people. Like all of these services are so scalable because you're in your own little neighborhood and there's people around you that need these things, right? And so these apps, the opportunities are just so abundant right now when you start looking. And I would say if you're not sure which one of these sounds great to you, just start Googling it. Find out how much it pays, find out how often people work, um, and then start applying, and the right thing will surface. Once you make that decision, I need to make some more money. I need it to be flexible. I need it to be whatever your needs are. Start looking, and it's amazing what's out there that we didn't even know existed. I had no idea that, family advising was a thing, but it is, and there's a great need for it. There's plenty of people that need it. And so there's so much opportunity out there online right now. It's really, really cool. I think it's really cool.
Yep. So if you are answering the question, are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? And your answer is yes. I am ready to take action. Like I'm tired enough of it that I'm willing to make some sacrifices, a little bit of my time, a little bit of my energy, and making more money makes sense for you. This is your sign to just jump in and get started, right? Every dollar helps. Every little bit helps. We preach that all the time at Female Finance Collective. No amount is too small. I mean, we want you to get paid what you're worth. But what I'm saying is, if you can only do one shift every other week, that's still more money than you would have had if you didn't do it, right? So just really make your focus about what you want, what you're trying to get, what your outcome is, your desired goal. Is it to stop living paycheck to paycheck? Yes, keep your focus on that, right? And then it becomes a little bit easier to make these decisions.
So thank you so much for listening. We want you to try out one of these strategies. If you're like, yes, I need to make some more money, let us know. Your task for this week is to start Googling it, to check out some of the ideas that we just shared with you, share other ideas in the comments below that you find, and be sure to like and follow, and we'll see you next week.